It's not quarterly. Hey, Ken, let's quarterly renew our mindset, right? It's not annual. Yeah, I need to be my annual mindset. That's that New Year's Eve thing, right? My annual, right? It's every day of like, hey, let me refresh. Let me get out of this destination disease. Let me love this process and let me write more books. Let me publish more books. Let me show off my babies. Let me be a better father. Let me be a better husband. Let me be a better value adder to the world. So, again, more Ken cheers, right? Here's Ken saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the 365 podcast and invest my time, energy, and efforts exposing all these amazing people. Like, dude, that's big time, man. So proud of you, Ken. Process. Love it.
Thank you, brother.
I was like, what do I have to work with? Right. So let's go back to classic, Jim Rohn 101, right? Like, hey, want a better life? Ask a better question. What do I have to work with versus why does this suck so bad? Or why can't I get to Joel, right? So it's like, what do I have to work with? Well, whenever you watch Joel on TV, they have the dial 1-800-JOEL, right?
Right.
So call the 800 number. They want you to call and donate, but I'm like, well, I got a phone.
Epic, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
But we're not doing that this show. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
Don't
All
don't look for it.
smiles.
Don't
All
look.
the
It's all
time.
smile. It's all smiles. So,
Yeah,
um,
there's no side effects. There's no downside. There's no side effects, right? Like, I
you're,
mean,
you're better looking. You're more attractive. You have better job security. I mean, there's just nothing. It's all good, good, good. So tell us about some words because you talked about responsible. Tell us about some other words and what the documentary taught you.
yeah, I learned so much just by just again, the journey was so valuable and money to read books that I chose. And so one of the favorite books in our family was Outwitting the Devil. And I read it, my son read it. We had these great conversations about it, about being a drifter and fear. And it was just, I'm so thankful for Sharon dusting that off and bringing that out. And then
Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. A lot of you are thinking you see double. We were not separated at birth. In fact, I can prove this because we just had to pay a lot of money to have Evan Money show up. Not commas before the zeros, but after the zeros.
yes.
So I never knew you were such a big fan of Captain Puerto Rico. That's awesome.
Well, you got to preface it because I was like, what's he talking about? So I'll let you share it because it's true.
Well, I don't know when I saw it, but it was a lot of people have seen this, but it's Captain America and it says he's not wearing 50 stars. He's just wearing one, which is the flag symbol for Puerto Rico. So why Captain America?
Glad you asked. So, as a young boy, kind of very similar to K3 in the background there, we didn't have all the gadgets and all that. So all we had was comic books, right? So
Right.
these comic book legends, and then um, unfortunately, Hollywood and the abilities hadn't caught up to what it's needed to create good, special effects and all that until not too long ago. So growing up for us, it was always one day they're going to make a superhero movie and it's going to be awesome. One day, one day. And so back in the day, my brother and I, both born and raised in SoCal, we were making shorts, Ken, before that was even a word. We didn't have Super 8, you remember that. We had VHS
Hmm.
and no editing equipment. So you had to shoot in sequence and you got one take. And that has served me well because when you're forced by, hey, we got one take and we're three-quarters of the way through the movie, we can't mess the scene up. Like, we got to get it. But I remember one time they were filming an old Captain America. I don't even think you can find it anymore. This was in the 90s. They were filming a Captain America scene in our town. And so we were on set and doing all this. And my brother got one of the props, Ken. He got a bottle. They used to make them out of sugar. There was a glass bottle, but it was made out of sugar, so you could hit it on the person's head and it wouldn't hurt. So we saved it. We're going to use it for one of our scenes. And he had it up in his closet. And then one day he's looking for it and he hit it and it fell down and broke on his head. It was like, that was a Captain America bottle, man. Come on. So long-standing history, but for right now, the reason I put it on the wall, short and sweet, is to me, Captain America really represents kind of where I am in my faith. And if you look at the new Captain America, they spent like four movies where Bucky was the bad guy, and Bucky was Captain America's buddy when he was a kid.
Hmm.
And everybody's like, and he was the bad guy. He was called the Winter Soldier, and he's killing everybody, doing all this stuff. And they're like, and Cap's like trying to save him and protect him and keeps chasing after him. No, Bucky's good. I'm gonna save him. No, no, no. And it really speaks to my faith, and that's what Jesus did for us. Of like, we keep screwing up, we keep doing all this stuff, and movie after movie, he's not giving up on us. And so, lo and behold, Captain America finally gets to Bucky, turns him around, and now he's the superhero. And and all this good stuff. So that's kind of that remembrance of that, and kind of represents the Jesus model. And then the cape for all our faith-based friends is kind of the Holy Spirit with Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Because remember, Doctor Strange, the
of
cape comes
course.
on, and is trying to pull him to like help him, and he's going the opposite way, like, no, no, I want to go do it my way. And the cape's like, dude, I'm trying to help you. Like, come over here, come over here. So that's us, as God's whispering to us, going, hey, go over here. And we're like, no, no, I'm gonna go over here, go do this thing. And then the sword, of course, is like God the Father. And then on the far area over here, I got the Tony Stark, the arc reactor, which of course represents the new heart, right? Once you fully accept Jesus's love, and it's like, all right, let me get a new heart. Let's put in the arc reactor. So I've got all the props, and what's fun is I started collecting, and then my son, it's great. You'll see, Ken, this will happen soon with K3. Probably already with all his book royalties, but very soon K3 is going to surprise you with when he, uses some of his royalties to buy you a really cool gift. So my son bought me, I think it was for my birthday. He bought me the arc reactor, and I was like, I love my son, thank you. Because I was never going to buy it for myself, but he bought it for me. And I was just like, oh, okay, I got to put it up and all that. So long answer, short question. That's what I specialize in. So for all you listeners, buckle up, because that's what you're going to get on this episode.
Well, I was a little trepidatious about asking because I thought you might say something like, "I don't know why you're asking me that," or "I don't really feel comfortable having this conversation."
Yeah, I'm way past that. So I like spending all my time in the deep end. I'm highly allergic to shallow end conversations and shallow events. Like I don't even attend those anymore. I just leave. And so yeah, I like to spend all my time in the depth and not judging, but it's like, hey, all the people that want to hang out in the shallow end, good for you. Enjoy, have fun. But I'm over here in the deep end. If anybody wants to come, let's go.
So it's good that you have four too, because otherwise the cross could be coming out of the top of your head, or the halo of Latin
Yes.
America. So you got that going for you too.
No, so I appreciate that, because I always look at I have, spiritual gift of mine, right? I look at everybody else's background, it looks better than mine. And I'm like, oh, their background's so much cooler than mine. Da,
Well, I
da, da.
think with the royalties from this particular show, I'm going to be able to get the Dr. Smiley Show full 6 foot deal here.
Yes.
Well, let's because we do have an hour and they seem like you go very quick. I want to cover a couple things. So
Yes.
first of all, we have covered the elephant, as it were, in the room, which is Captain America. So there we
Yes.
go.
Yes.
All right, check. So number two, we met because of Bernie Dorman, Dr. Greg Reid, and then
Yes.
directly because of Ryan Long. Is that correct?
I think it was just Greg, but we'll throw
Oh,
Ryan in there too, the late great Ryan Long.
well, I thought you did an award for Bob Proctor and you were with him, so I thought that was your deal together.
Yeah, no, we did that. And then but we met before that. We
Yeah,
met,
at Greg Reed's, right?
yeah, we met at Greg's house, and
Secret
then
knock.
we did the Bob Proctor Award. Greg brought Ryan on because I love Greg with because he's so inclusive.
Right.
And it's like, hey, I know this is your dream. Come on. So I think Ryan was a huge Bob Proctor fan. And so he was like, hey, man, I'm bringing this guy on because it's like, yeah, right on, man, do it. So I love how Greg, and I think he got that from Shankowitz and Frank of just like, hey, man, it's not just for, kids that could die or kids that have disease. You're like, hey, let's make dreams come true for everybody. So I
Yeah.
love that about Greg, where he's super inclusive and just like, hey, I want to make this happen and come along. And yeah, so that was a super cool moment for sure.
Well, that was trippy when we met at Secret Knock because I saw you and I was like, me? And you were like, and you mimicked everything I just did. And I would go like this and you'd go like this. So I didn't know if it was, I was tripping, but it turns out it was different, definitely a different person. It was you. So I understand that you have a brother and you were born in SoCal, as you put it,
Yes.
born and raised. You've been there most of your life.
Oh
So
yeah.
what was your childhood like that caused you to be who you are today?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, so I come from a normal dysfunctional family, Ken. You maybe can relate. And I think it's that's such an interesting question because I think you could look at it in an irresponsible way or a total full responsible way. So,
Hmm.
and I'll say that by first, I'll define the word responsibility. A lot of people don't understand the full definition of responsibility, which, of course, yeah, there we go. Of course, is the ability to respond and not react. So a lot of times in our marriage, in our parenting, right, we find ourselves the reaction is the first thing to come, not responding. It's
Right.
just like, yeah, you know what? I wasn't really responsive, right? But so when you were reacting, that is irresponsible.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when we're, and I know you're a much better father than I am, but when I'm lecturing my son on responsibility when I'm reacting, my son's kind of looking at me going like, this isn't resonating because you're being irresponsible trying to talk to me about responsibility. So the ability to respond. So I say that to say normal dysfunctional family. I looked at my background and what happened, what didn't happen, what, father-son issues, all the stuff. But my willingness to take full responsibility for that and to say, hey, what can I do with this? How can I grow from this? How can I use this to help others and to really fully expand and be the global encourager that I'm blessed to be today? And so the quick story is both my parents divorced when I was very young. They got married multiple times. And so all I saw as far as options for relationships and marriage was you could be married and miserable. So I saw a lot of that. You could be divorced and desperate. My mom modeled that perfectly for me. Or you could be single and cynical. And
Hmm.
that's the route that I chose, right? Typical male, early 20s. How many women can I get? I want to be the next James Bond, right? The whole thing. And that didn't serve me very well. And so out of rebellion, I was like, I want to find happily ever after, Kim. I'm like, I'm gonna find it. I am, yes, the happily ever after. I'm gonna find it. And met my bride, and we were like on this quest to find happily ever after. And it wasn't out of my love for Jesus or love for others. It was about anger and rebellion. Because it's like, I'm not gonna take what the world's pushing on me. And what my bride and I discovered was it wasn't a place to be found. It was a place that we create every day with our actions and our attitudes. And so we've been basking in happily ever after ever since. And so I can relate that to saying, hey, well, because of the way I was raised, I use that to help my quest and to help me realize like, oh, I can create happily ever after every day. And it's my responsibility to respond or react. And I will say, because I know he's been on the show probably at least a couple times, but ode to the great Les Brown of the biggest room in my house, Ken, is the room for my improvement. And it will always be that way.
Well, I was waiting for you to say find jumps to commit and create because
Hmm.
we don't, everyone that says, oh, you're so lucky, there's no such thing as luck. You create it and you manifest it and you work for it.
Yes.
And I always love Mark Twain's quote at this point, which is the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yes. Yes. And it's so funny. Can you talk about that? I think it's the Western culture, right? We always try to separate everything, like it's one or the other.
Right.
Like, no, no, it's got to be all hard work or it's all luck. And it's like, it's all one and the same, right? Now, people can't seem to marry that. Like in basketball, oh, that was a lucky shot. Well, you've been shooting that shot 1,000 times. So, yeah, there is a part of that I didn't have my base set right, and I didn't get a full look at the basket. But nonetheless, right, you're putting in all this work, putting all this effort. So when you do these fadeaway, turnaround, blind, like you're still aiming at you hit what you were aiming at. You were aiming at the basket, it went in, and I guarantee you, like I said, you've worked at that. So I think it's key to point that out that so many people try to separate one or the other, and it's this holistic of like you said, the harder I work, the luckier I get or the more breaks I get. And when
Mm-hmm.
you look at anybody's story, right? It's interesting how everyone says the overnight success, right? 20 years in the making, right? Nobody wants to look at the 20 years. They just want the quick scroll, quick whatever. Oh, look, this guy scaled overnight. Well, Yeah, 20 years overnight, 20 years worth of overnights, and then he scaled, right? So it's just understanding it's both and embracing it. And of course, the joy is in the journey and not the destination, right? And so it's embracing that part of the journey of, yeah, you're gonna put in the work and you're gonna get some quote unquote breaks, but it's all part of the process.
I'm not letting you get away with that compliment about the fatherhood. So,
Hmm.
first of all, Father's Day is coming up very soon. So, happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you. And I am serious about that compliment
I know
because
I said I'm not letting you get away with it. I'm because
oh,
I do want to say something about that.
okay.
That room for improvement, it's huge for me because the more you want to play as the biggest father, the more mistakes you make.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I've made plenty. And right now I'm battling with, do I have enough time with him because he spends too much time in front of a screen? So there's
Mm.
challenges all the time. But I will say this: I made a decision just like you did, based on my experience with my father, who was not a bad man at all, great man. He just didn't know what to do with a dreamer, an
Yes.
entrepreneur,
Yes.
HD, hyperactive.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how would he know that? He was the first one
Yeah.
to go to college. He went in the military, first one to be an officer in the military, and he was consumed with his career. And it wasn't that was wrong. It's just he took it seriously. No big deal. But for me, I made a decision. Kenny was going to get me as a priority.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's how I show up.
Yes. And to your point, this is why I want to fully what you receive the edification is, and I love your self-awareness, Ken, because you understand, right? The more I know, the more I don't know.
Right.
So the more I work at becoming a better father, the more I realize, God, I have so much work to do. Right? Versus the like our dads, I'll just call them ignorant and obtuse, right? Like they just didn't know. They
Right.
just didn't know what they didn't know, and that culture was like, our dads were raised in, hey, you
Go
want to
get the
be
check.
a father, you provide,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, is there a roof? Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
some food? Yeah. Then I don't need to talk to you, right? What do I need to talk to you about, right? I provided. That's what you're supposed to do. Our generation is like, hey, like we want to explore this a little more. And as you and I, as growth minded people, the more we grow, the more we go, man, we got to grow. And so before you know it, K3 is going to be like my son, 21. And it's like, whoa, like, where did that come from? So there are moments where I look back at my room improvement. I'm just like, man, I missed that. Oh man, didn't do this, didn't do that. But I'm thankful for the things that I did do and seeing how my son is shaped. But I just know this foundation you've given K3 and kind of some of these abilities. And so I just want to applaud greatness in parenting because it's not everybody wants to talk about this. It's so hilarious. They want to talk about again, they're so destination organized. It's destination focused, right? Like, well, how'd your son turn out? Well, I'll tell you in 50 years how he turned out, right? He's 21. He's what we call him now because I have an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old. We call them infant adults. So most people's mindset is, I just got to get him to 18 and I'm good. And it's like, no, no, no. Now it's brand new all over again. My son's a toddler. He's a toddler adult. What do
Right.
toddlers do? They run around bumping the things. They run around, make a mess, run around, make a lot of noise. It's like, he's a toddler. And then we have a newborn adult. My daughter's 18. She's a newborn. Well,
Right.
newborn, they're more needy at 18 than they are at 8 months. I'm telling you. So it's this joyful journey and understanding, right? This isn't the end of the story. The story just started. So for parents to be like, oh, my kids didn't turn out that well. Well, how old are they? Right? Like we'll talk about when they're 90 and see how they turned out. So it's this long-term thing. So yeah, we haven't even got to the tip of the iceberg with K3 yet. You're still rowing out to the iceberg. So the
You know,
foundation is fabulous. So I just want you to receive that, kid.
well, thank you. Thank you. The analogy you're using about a baby and an adult and then a baby adult, that's really cool. I use that analogy on stage about publishing. So
Hmm.
but I don't use those the baby adult. I like that part. I'm going to
Okay.
add that in because
Use
that
it.
part is the second phase, which is what are you doing after your book? So I talk about people that do one book and they don't ever carry it around anymore because they had the baby and that's it.
Yes.
They said, baby's done,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And then I don't know why I lost $19,000 on this. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I did the book. The world was waiting, wasn't it? And so I say, a true publisher would say, now we have the baby. Now let's grow it and
Yes.
grow his impact and nurture it. And nurturing is feeding it marketing dollars, spending time with it, showing it off all the time,
Yes.
and saying, "This is my
Yes.
baby. This is my
Yes.
baby."
Yes. Oh, so good. So good. And I'll use this analogy. I heard it as an insult and as a slight, but now I'm realizing per your talk the wisdom around it, and I think it'll help. And you can use this again, non-trademarked license. We'll
No
send
more
it.
zeros with commas.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But it's Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week.
Right.
He spent 40 hours a week promoting the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yes.
And that again, but that's what's required.
Exactly.
So it's not like, oh yeah, whatever. It's like, no, that's like I said, that's or in our case, soon to be, right? Well, you got a little more of the ways, but whether it's grandchild or the baby, right? Why aren't we showing it off? Why aren't we talking about it? Why like this constant and continue? And then as you write more, right? Everybody asks, what's your favorite book? Well, who's your favorite kid, right? I love them all, right? They're all different for different reasons, right? It's just like, yeah, let me show you all of them. Like, here's the family portrait. Yay!
Well,
That's why right behind you, you get the family portrait, right? All the books and
there we go. That's right. Well, there's an equation that kind of goes along that analogy, and I think the math will register rather well with you. Is having the baby, meaning writing the book, is at best 1%
mm,
of the cost and the time at best.
yes,
And as you
yes,
said with Tim Ferriss, if you spent 40 hours a week and he did it for 2 years, multiply all that out, and then he probably spent, given his intelligence, he probably spent about 12 hours writing the book.
yes, yes, yes. It is, yeah, it is. Yep, absolutely, yeah. But again, it goes back to this destination disease mindset that's so prevalent of, hey, it's over, I did it, and it's like, no, you just started, man. Like, and here in LA, it just shows you, I know you're on the other side of the world, but I don't think it's quite reached over there. But there's kind of an epidemic here in Los Angeles where there was a big thing for a while where people, and they still do, which is sad, but abandoning their babies, right? And people finding babies in trash cans and all this stuff. So we're gonna get away from that. But like on first responders' cars, there were these bumper stickers, and it would literally say, "Don't abandon your baby." And it'd be like, yeah. So it's like, hey, you can bring it here. Like you can bring it to the police station. You can bring it to the
Yeah.
fire station. Like no shame, no guilt. Just don't abandon it. So
Yeah.
you could use that in the publishing. Like, don't abandon your baby, man. Like you birthed it, you did all the. Don't leave it alone, man. You gotta
Yeah.
care for it. You gotta take care of it. You gotta like bless it. So it's like that's the beginning, not the end. And it becomes this joyful journey. But again, it's so this destination disease is so prevalent, and and again, it clings to us in all these different areas, and it's such a disservice. And it's almost a great analogy, right? Like you don't know the farm stinks till you leave and come back, right?
Mm.
And you're like, what's that smell? Like, oh my gosh, right? Or the classic, the reason we go on vacation is so when we come back, we see what our house really smells like, right? Like, oh my God, like, whoa, hold on, what's going on? Right. And so it's this mindset, you don't realize you even have it until you listen to a podcast like this and you start thinking, wow, maybe I do have destination disease with my book or with my parenting or with my marriage or whatever. And it's like, oh, wow, maybe there is something to this process deal. Maybe there is something to falling in love with the process and falling in love with the growth and falling in love with the joys of the journey versus if it's destination only, I'm a huge NFL fan. And if you talk about the worst possible existence in the world is being a fan of one NFL team because you got a 1 in 32 chance because there's only one Super Bowl winner every year and it's
Right.
probably not your team. It's right. And if that's the thing, right? Like, oh, if we don't win the Super Bowl, we suck. It's like, well, that's a tough existence versus just enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and enjoying all the stuff. But it's just so fascinating how we're just inundated in every area with destination disease. But if we can get away from that, breathe a little bit with a podcast like this and kind of verbalize and talk about it and wash it off, and then be like, wow, yeah. And it goes back to Zig. I'm sure you remember you've probably had a chance to hang out with Zig and all that. But yes, and per the movie, per the book, yeah, love it when Zig talks about, hey man, showers are highly effective, but you got to do it every day. And it's like, and then you look at, the first greatest social media influencer of all time, the Apostle Paul, and he talks about the daily renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Daily, it's not weekly. It's not quarterly. Hey, Ken, let's quarterly renew our mindset, right? It's not annual. Yeah, I need to be my annual mindset. That's that New Year's Eve thing, right? My annual, right? It's every day. of like, hey, let me refresh, let me get out of this destination disease, let me love this process, and let me write more books, let me publish more books, let me show off my babies, let me be a better father, let me be a better husband, let me be a better value adder to the world. So again, more Ken cheers, right? Here's Ken saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the 365 podcast and invest my time, energy, and efforts exposing all these amazing people. Like, dude, that's big time, man. So proud of you, Ken. Process. Love it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. By the way, before I forget, you are we've got about 50 of the podcast done, but because we did the Smileathon, we have 90 additional. So 90 plus 50, we're 140 into it right now. Not too
Woo!
bad. Not too bad.
Indeed.
And we have something called the Authorathon. Authorathon. I sent you the flyer for it.
Okay.
It's 100 authors.
Okay.
Get 9 minutes each, 18 hours, 6 a.m. to midnight Pacific, 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern. And the 9 minutes they spend talking about who they are as an author and why they wrote a book or their books. They lower the price of the Kindle to 99 cents. So everyone that's on the Authorthon can buy the book and over the next 100 days write a review.
Oh, okay.
So everyone gets 100 reviews. Everyone gets to actually share their work, which could be more than they even had before that day.
Yeah.
So that's one. And number two, because I've been looking at you the whole time, just saying, what a great haircut. I just want to tell you, September 13th is Bald Day. It's a bald holiday. And we are making the Baldathon. And I think you know that I have my 61st book called
Yes.
Bald, Bold. And yes,
Yes.
we are going to
Hold
have,
that one up. You gotta hold that up, man. Come on.
well,
Where's that?
I will have to hold it up. I'll tell you what,
Yes.
I'll pull it up while you're stalling me a little bit here.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So
It's
we have a
bald,
book.
bold, and beautiful, right?
Yeah, and I'm going out to San Diego tomorrow. You're not going to be in the San Diego area, are you?
I will not be in the San Diego, but
Okay,
you
well,
come to LA, can I at least connect with you? Like, come
with
on.
you know what, I really want to be in LA now. I mean, the news is saying this is the tourism time to be there, so that's really cool.
It's always a good time to be in LA.
Yeah, I mean, tell me. So there's the book,
There it is.
and we
There
have
it is.
lovely baldies that will be on the Baldathon, including Evan Money. And by the way, I wanted
Woohoo.
to ask you: how many times do people slip and call you Eddie?
I still get that, so I have some fun with it. But it tells me the demographic, right? So if
Yeah.
you're under 50, you're not saying it. So
All right, so let's talk about these books because you're going to get to talk about them on the Authorathon, and that is June 24th. It's a Tuesday, and so it's 18 hours. So you're going to get your 9 minutes if you want. I'd love to have you on
woo.
the
Yes,
Authorathon.
sir.
So which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with Happily Ever After
Okay.
because that one is now, and I've upgraded. That one's in hardcover
She
only.
looks so much like your wife. I have to tell you that.
That's my bride. That's her.
All right, so this is a thank you for sending me the book. By the way, makes it easier to read it. By the way.
More lessons for up and coming authors. They can't read it. They don't get it.
So, what prompted you to write the book? It's kind of an obvious, but I'd like you to share.
No, it's not because it was my journey with entrepreneurship and also with authorship was the key thread was reluctance. I was a reluctant entrepreneur and a reluctant author because so often people kept asking my bride and I have written 4 books before, no, 3 or 4 books before I wrote the marriage book and bestsellers, all the fun stuff. But people are like, "You guys need to write a marriage book. You guys need to. When's your marriage book coming out?" And for so long, we gave it the Heisman. We're like, "No, no, 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 no." And the reason being is because there were so many great marriage books that my bride and I actually read. And unlike, Ken, you're very familiar with this genre that is the most abused genre of all time, which is shelf help where people buy the book, put it on the shelf, never read it, right?
Right.
Uh, and so there were so many great marriage books that my bride and I used to craft and hone our marriage that we're like, what do we have to add? We got no, like, just go. So we would tell people, they would ask us for our marriage book. We'd go, no, 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 read this book, this book, this book. And they never would. And so finally we're like, okay, let's do it. And so
Let's give them another book they won't read.
yeah, well, it was really cool but for my bride and I, going back to our talk earlier, it was about the journey. It was like,
Right.
you know what? It's not the destination, because if I make the destination, oh, it's only successful if they read it. Well, I already know they're not going to read it. So, what's the journey going to be? Well, the journey is going to be my bride and I saying, okay, what stories do we tell? What do we want to do here? How do we want to put this together? What do you want to share? And she was super reluctant. And so but of course, we co-wrote it together. This is pre-AI, pre any of that stuff. It's just her and I on the keyboard, on the notepad, like you and Sharon talked about it. So here's mine, right? Hold it up. You got one of these, right?
Oh yeah, we got him going on here.
There it is, the
They're
yellow
always going
pad.
on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we literally just started
Well,
writing it out.
well, now Evan, just to be clear for the audience, everything you're hearing in this dialogue is AI. So let's make the distinction. Your books are not AI, but this dialogue we're having is complete AI.
I mean, these days with deepfake stuff, you never know, right? Like that, it could be like you and I would be like, nope, that wasn't us. We weren't there. What's going on? Yeah, no, it's wild. We're in a
I
wild,
have an
wild
alibi.
time. Yes, wild times. So we just literally banged it out, Ken, and we're like, okay, where do we want to share? What about this? So what ended up happening was my bride, both of us, full true confession, right? It was this inadequacy of like, what value can we bring with all these masters that have gone before us in the marriage space? And then finally we woke up and realized, well, yes, all these masters are awesome. They're all great. They're all incredible, but they're not us.
Mhm.
So there's only one Evan and Susan Money. So, hey, and there's only one Evan and Susan Money that have been married 33 times. So we get remarried a different state or country every year. So let's work with that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the things we've learned and
That would
shared.
be unique.
Yeah, and so my bride did at the end of each chapter, she did Susan's takes. And so I said, you don't have to get a page count, just write whatever you want to write. And so she gave these condensed, beautiful. So whenever I tell people about the book, I say, just read my bride's parts at the end of every chapter. That's all you need. Like my stuff, don't worry about it. Just read her stuff and you are in. And so we got the best deal out of the whole thing. Like we became so more connected, so deeply bonded. Like it was just this depth of our marriage got so much deeper from that experience. And it was like, oh, this is so cool. And so we had a lot of fun with the arrangement of the book and the cover and, doing the inside and all the different fonts and
Yeah,
all the
it's
different
really
stuff.
cool. And it's very wedding-esque. But I was
Yes.
I was missing the 33 places that I was supposed to go.
Well, that's the key, Ken, because it's not about the
I know,
destination,
I
it's
know.
not about the dress, it's not about the details, but it is about, Ken, I appreciate you asking. It is about the dedication and the devotion. And so we've had weddings that have been the big to-dos, and we've had these little tiny intimate, little things. Her and I at a little country church and whatever, or I even posted about just today about our train wreck marriage in Portland, Oregon, where again we didn't have any money, so we're trying to figure this out on the fly. We had a guy that was supposed to meet us somewhere and marry us. We're all excited, and he didn't show up. He got called away on emergency, and so
Hmm.
we were like, oh no. So we had no money, no options, no nothing. We had limited time. And we are basically at the airport in Portland, Oregon, Ken, with our tail between our legs, pouting, like, oh, we came to Portland. We didn't get married. We're going to break the streak. And this was early, right? And we're just like, this is awful. And my bride literally looked at me and said, hey, let's stop pouting and start celebrating. And I'm like, huh? She says, look, we're in a different state. Let's go get married. I'm like, okay. And so we made it work right there in the airport. And we're like, right on, let's do this. And so we always talk about our big extravagant ones are kind of a makeup for that one. But it's really just about, again, that dedication and devotion. And so that's really what the book's about is like, hey, look, it's not that hard. You really can do it. Just a little intentionality, just a little bit of effort. And that's really the joy behind that book. And so I love the hardcover one because it's not one of those giant, massive things. It's thin little one, but the hardcover came out great. So I always love what John Maxwell, another favorite author of ours, talks about is like whenever you write your first book, just like the baby, right? When you get it, he said you're allowed 15 minutes to just caress it and hold it and then flip through it and smell it and be like, okay, I love this baby. Yes, okay. And then it's like, okay, now you go promote the baby, but now go write the next one.
So the part I was, I guess, referring to about the map is not about the destination piece. It's that I love to travel. That's one. and two, I love pictures. And so I was just thinking, but that was your choice whether you want to share all that. Your main point was to share the principles of it, and I get that.
Yes.
But man,
Yes.
that is
But no,
that.
you can't see the pictures at evanlovessusan.com. We've got
Okay,
all
so they're
all
there.
33 there. Yep. Yep.
Okay,
And there's pictures of me with hair, which I haven't seen any of you, Ken. I imagine you may have had a mustache or two back in the day.
I went right from baby to here.
So if you want to see me with non-AI hair, you can go to Evan Loves Susan, and then you got all 33 weddings. But that's the other part with the book too, right? The book is static and we grow. So the website is easier to keep up because after each wedding, just keep adding and keep going.
Yeah, that's why I love digital books. I mean, I give away hundreds of thousands of digital books, believe it or not, a year, and that's the marketing system, really.
Yeah.
But this bad boy, we made a book. Ed Caldwell and I made a book, and it's called World Power, and it's
There it is.
it's a play on
Ooh,
so word power, world power, and
yeah.
and we made it into cards afterwards.
Oh, yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
So I picked verbose of all the things. Isn't that funny? So I need to get you the world power and maybe a deck of cards since you're a word man.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm a card guy too. I got my magic trick. So send them, man. Send them.
I will. I will. Okay. So Joel, you said that you promised a story about Joel.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
he wrote the forward. No, it's with Joel. He didn't write.
Yes.
Okay. So you got Darren Hardy, Zig Ziglar. Gosh, Zig is so missed. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
what a beautiful man. And then Mark Batterson, I do not know actually. So that's a new one for me. So tell me about the cast and of course the story you wanted to share about Joel and anything else you want to say about this.
Yeah. So, author Joel Osteen's kind of one of the very few who have had multiple books on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as iconic as it gets in the
It
publishing.
is. Yes. I mean that's the Beatles with the first four hits out
Yes.
of
Yes.
five.
Yes.
Actually, they
Yes.
had four albums. They had four albums out of top five.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who ruined it for them?
Katy Perry? No, who did?
Beatles, Katy Perry. I mean, that's a long time ago. It was Herb Alpert. Herb Alpert was crushing
Oh,
it. Yeah,
really?
yeah,
I didn't know. I did
yeah. It's
not know.
cool little trivia. They would have had the top five, I think, albums. I think.
Oh, you're talking on the list. Okay, I thought the artist wise. No, but it was Katie's. I think she had four songs. That was it. She had 4 or 5 songs that were number one. I think she broke Michael Jackson's record
Okay,
for number ones on one album. But you're talking about what album kept the Beatles.
I'm
Okay,
talking
yeah.
about the list of the
Yeah,
charts.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because you're
Okay.
saying that he was on the New York Times simultaneously.
Yes.
That's
So
like
two,
having
yeah,
hits at
yeah.
the
So
time, right?
so his old book and then his new book, both on New York Times at the same
Yeah,
time. Like,
yeah.
that is, yeah, that's incredible. So when Joel was at his peak, like at that time, I got a vision because similar to a lot of guys like us, right? They're like, hey man, all these great icons of personal growth are dying off, and there really isn't anyone replacing them. And how are we going to honor these guys? And so I was like, man, I just felt called after going to Jim Rohn's funeral, and because all the icons showed up live.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of the greatest seminars that wasn't a seminar, right? It was a funeral memorial for Jim Rohn, and everybody showed up, right? Tony Robbins was there, Les Brown was there, like all I mean, every Brian Tracy, like everybody was there. And I'm sitting around going, man, what are we gonna do, right? I gotta do something about this. So uh, I took action, started making the film, and quick Zig story. So Zig, we booked Zig, and then he ended up dying a week before we were gonna film.
Oh,
And it was we worked with Zig's son, and he's like, hey, you know what, my dad may or may not be able to do all the stuff you want to do. And I'm like, that's okay, man. We just want to come and do the whole thing. And so Zig died, and it was like, oh, my movie's ruined, right? Zig died. But his son was so gracious. They're like, no, please come anyway, because I thought it was over. They're like, please come anyway, please film. We want to honor our dad. I was like, awesome, yeah. And so, but with that, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have Joel Osteen? Because who better to be in a documentary about words of art than Joel Osteen? Because again, at the time, his words were just so, I mean, still are, but he was, top of the food chain, top of everything, crossing over. Like he was everybody's favorite guy. And so I was like, well, Ken, how do I get Joel to be in my movie and then also, make a book out of it? And so I reached out to all my contacts. Nobody had a contact with Joel. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I had a choice, right? Go back to Jim Rohn 101. You can either make an excuse or you can find a way. And I was like, I think I'll find a way, right? So I was like, what do I have to work with, right? So let's go back to classic, Jim Rohn 101, right? Like, hey, want a better life? Ask a better question. What do I have to work with versus why does this suck so bad? Or why can't I get to Joel, right? So it's like, what do I have to work with? Well, whenever you watch Joel on TV, they have the dial 1-800-JOEL, right?
Right.
So call the 800 number. They want you to call and donate, but I'm like, well, I got a phone. Let me call. So I dialed 1-800-JOEL, legitimately, Ken. Hi, welcome to Joel Osteen Ministries. How much would you like to pledge? And I was like, oh, no, no, no. I'm looking to talk to Joel. Ha ha ha. Click. And hung up. Yep. Called back. Hi, I got disconnected. Oh, how much would you like to pledge? We're sorry. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm trying to get a hold of Joel. Ha ha ha. Click. And so that went on for a few times, and I just kept calling. And finally, someone's like, "Oh, you really are trying to get to Joel?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, that's not our department. Let me see what I can do." They put you on hold for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever, right? And I would keep it on hold, and I would go do my work. I would do an email. I'd write. I'd like whatever, and then someone would pick up. Hi, I'm trying to get to Joel. Oh, okay. So I did that for day after day, week after week, and it just little by little, kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. That call would lead to the next department, to the next department, to the next department. I think finally the departments talk to each other and they're like, "Man, I don't think this guy's gonna go away." And so finally, I got to his promotional agent department, and they were like, okay, what do you got? What are you trying to do? And I'm like, well, we're trying to do this documentary. We really like Joel to be in it, da da da. And here's the cool part. They were like, well, who else is in it? And I'm like, well, Zig and the whole Ziglar tribe, they're a part of it. And they're like, oh, okay. When would you like to come and film and talk to Joel? Yes. Yes, okay. And so literally, Ken, they rolled out the red carpet for us. They let us. Anybody that's got anything negative to say about Joel, come talk to me because I got to see behind the scenes. I got to see all the stuff, and they let us go everywhere, in every room, every place normally that you're not supposed to go. We got to go,
Mhm.
and we saw it all. And I got to see the inner workings and the inside. And I got to talk to people that had no idea why I was there, what I was doing there. And I got the real stories on Joel. And I got to hear the stuff that the public doesn't hear. And it was so awesome. It was such a blessing. It was like, because I had a little fear, Ken, of like, what if I get there and Joel's not the guy I think he is?
Right.
And we've all had that experience, whether it's in personal development, real estate, whatever, right? You meet the guy or the gal and you're like, ew, right? Like, oh. So I was hoping that wasn't the case, but when I got there, I realized, whoa, this is better than I even thought. And just a lesson for those listening to this podcast is just the magic of Joel is that the Joel you see on stage is the Joel that you get at the fast food restaurant, is the Joel you get walking down the street, is the Joel you get, because that's the only way you can sustain that kind of fame and the toxicity that people place on him, right? There's so many unrealistic expectations of, oh, Joel's the man, right? Heal me, do this, do this. Like everyone's just trying to make him this thing that he's not. But the only way you can sustain that and not fall off, right? Like so many others, right? How many people have been like, oh, they're healing the world, and all of a sudden, up, they're cheating on their wife, they're doing this, they're doing this. Joel's been able to sustain this because he's just like, I'm just going to stay who I am. And if
Right.
you don't like it, that's okay. But it's still me. Like, this is just who I am. I'm the goofy guy that tells the funny jokes, and I'm always smiling. Dr. Smiley, you want to talk about smile? Like, you guys, the smiley guys got to connect there because that's just who Joel is.
That's awesome.
He's the smiley guy. And it
So I got
was
about three. I got about 3 weeks of dialing the donation.
there you go. There you go. But yeah, we had such an amazing time with Joel. He was so generous with his time. We got all the stuff we need and was just like, okay, this
So
guy's the real
you know what
deal.
I'm doing to shortcut this?
Hmm.
I am going to get the film gear, the team, and we're going to do a documentary. And when I call them, and I finally 3 weeks in, they say, "Well, tell us who you got." I'm going to say, "Evan Money."
Yes. That'll work. That'll
That'll work.
work.
Yeah, he is. Not just to say that he's the real deal, but he is infectious with his smile. I mean, he is joy, and
Yes.
and most people do not realize that it's a choice every second.
Indeed, because if you look at Joel's life and some of the stuff, but like what the world is trying to do to him, you would have a lot to not smile about.
Right.
And yet, right, it's like, hey, I'm just gonna smile, I'm just gonna be me, I'm just gonna do my thing. I mean, you look at some of the venom that people just try to throw at him, and it's just like, if anybody's got a reason not to smile and be angry, and give everybody the number one finger, but a different finger, right? It would be Joel. But yet he's like, you know what? I'm the original Dr. Smiley. And yeah, that is just
He's
you hit
Pastor. He's
right on the
Pastor
head.
Smiley. He's Pastor Smiley.
Oh yes, Pastor Smiley. There it is. There it is. So
You
yeah,
know my favorite smile? I got one for you. My
okay.
favorite smile is when I take a picture of someone and they're not in their smile mode. They're in their I want to be happy for you mode. And
Hmm.
I say, think gratitude. Do you have any kids? And they light up. That's
Yes.
that's the
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you're it's interesting to see you in this context because there's the Ken on location context, which is behind the lens, right, and doing all that. But yeah, you see it, right? You're like, hey, I can see the fakes, I can see the, not the fake smile, but the Hollywood smile versus the real smile and the real joy. And to your point, Ken, that's what it's really all about, of like, hey, I can choose, because whatever you focus on, you feel,
Mhm.
Tony one on Tony and Jim 101. Whatever you focus on, you feel, even if it's not true.
Right.
How many of us focus on stuff that hasn't happened or could happen, or what if this guy did this, right? And we're down this rabbit hole of negativity versus, hey, let me focus on something because I want to feel joy. Let me focus on my kids, right? Let me focus on this. And so let me focus on bringing a smile to the world. And so, yeah, I'm sad, Ken, that you and I are the salmon swimming upstream because really your movement is the solution to any challenge that's happening. It's
Well,
like,
well, check this out, brother, man.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the Smileathon, the national one that just happened, the 30th and 31st, that is called The Power of a Smile. And it's got 96 segments to it. And the one we're doing that you're going to be part of, the international one, which is October 3rd, we're going around the world, 24 time zones. It might add up to 48 hours, I think. If you start at one time zone and you finish all the way around, I believe it's 2 days you're getting out of it. So that's going to be a smile brings the world together.
Woo!
And you are going to be part of it, sir.
I love it. I'll take it.
The God gave us an interesting ammo that when I was doing my dissertation, I really was blown away by all the things I was studying about a smile. There's no downside. I mean, there's 21 attributes you get that are just outrageously cool. But the one I'll tell you that I love the most is you're in a bad mood, you're not happy at all, and you smile, and your brain gets messed up, and it goes, "I must be happy."
Yes, I mean, again, classic motion creates emotion,
Yeah.
and you can't like you talk about like just from an acting perspective, even if we're not actors, right? If you tell someone just, hey, stand up and act depressed, watch what they're gonna do. They're gonna slump their shoulders
Right.
and right, like also, but it's like, hey, you light up with a smile, right? And your body has to respond in kind. And you talk about there's no downside,
You
right?
want to hear the thing that's going to crack everyone up the most is if we
Yes.
both act depressed right now, we both have our heads like this, we talk the whole time.
And you just see the glow, right?
That would be epic, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
But we're not doing that this show. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
Don't
All
look for it.
smiles.
Don't
All
look.
the
It's all
time.
smile. It's all smiles. So,
Yeah,
um,
there's no side effects. There's no downside. There's no side effects, right? Like, I mean,
you're better looking. You're more attractive. You have better job security. I mean, there's just nothing. It's all good, good, good. So tell us about some words because you talked about responsible. Tell us about some other words and what the documentary taught you.
yeah, I learned so much just by just again, the journey was so valuable, and seeing, because we did young, old, it wasn't just one demographic. So, one of our fun little side ones, I remember, again, I'm doing this documentary, going after these big names, right? And I'm just all excited. And then someone said, "Hey, you need to go interview this person." I'd never heard of him, right? And I'm like, "Who's that?" And in my director producer mind, I was like, "Okay, well, where are they located?" Because I'm thinking about the film budget. They're like, "Oh, they're here in LA." I'm like, "Okay, we'll go talk to them." Right? I'm not going to go fly over and do all this stuff. So we went to this young lady named Danielle Bennett's house, and she's actually a spoken word artist.
Hmm.
That ended up being the greatest interview of all of them. And I'm talking Joel Osteen, Darren Hardy, Ziglar, right? I mean, all the big names, right? And we,
She goes to Secret Knock, doesn't she?
no, she just is just a spoken word artist. She
Okay.
is married now, just in the professional world, but just her gift to enunciate words in a way. I still remember this, Ken. This was so fantastic. So we were filming around Christmas time, and we just went. I had no idea who she, like, and there's no background. We just showed up and we're like, "Hey, so and so said to interview, so we're gonna do this." And we're just start talking. She's like, "Well, would you like to hear one of my spoken word things?" We're like, "Sure." And she started, and literally my camera guy, who's been with me the whole time, right? And quick fun backstory: when I was interviewing my director and my camera guy, same guy, he has done personal development before. And he said, normally when you do a documentary, he said the issue is trying to get people to talk, right?
Mhm.
Because the camera's there, they're nervous, right? It's like sometimes you're photographing people, they're kind of like, right? So he's like trying to get, he goes, in the personal development space, it's all about getting them to shut up. I'm like, "I know that, that's me. Like, you got me, right? Just shut up. We got it. Like, be quiet." Uh, so he's heard he's heard all of the masters speak, emote on stage, off stage. Like, this guy has heard it all. And so Danielle opens her mouth, Ken, and he literally, like, and he's a professional. He's a professional. He literally like trips over himself to knock over the Christmas tree to get around to get a view. And like our guy that's holding the boom, with the
Right.
headphones, holding the boom mic, he audibleizes. You hear him go, "Wow." Like, everyone's just like this. And I'm like, "Man, we got something here. Like, this is amazing." And so anyone, like I said, it's worth the $2 or $5 rental on Amazon Prime just to hear Danielle speak these words, just crafted in such an incredible way. That was like one of the biggest mind-blowing things. And here's another word one I'll share, because this was the guy that referred Danielle to us. And I actually just texted him this morning. It's Dr. Goody Goodlow. And he's
Oh, come
very,
on.
yeah, that's his name. That's his name. Very famous in the faith-based space. He's got an incredible story. Um, and he got his doctorate studying Dr. Martin Luther King.
Hmm.
And so we interviewed him about about Dr. King's power of words, right? And what he used, like just the way he orated is beautiful.
Hmm.
Like, his words like shaped the conscious of the nation.
Right.
Like, just from these words. Yeah, it's just incredible. But Dr. Goodlow shared one thing, and I've always remembered this. If you talk about words, Ken, think about this. Harkening back to Captain America, right? And this whole thing of World War II and all this stuff. But he said, think about this: words have started wars, and words have ended wars.
Right.
Words, can words. It's words.
Right. I know. I know.
It's insane. It's just like, whoa. Somebody said something, and we've started a war, and somebody said something, we've ended a war.
Right.
Like, well, I mean, just sit with that. It's like, whoa, man, like that is powerful stuff. So just little things like that really help me. And I'm about championing this cause for this movie, but really just sitting with some of that stuff and going, wow, especially with our family, anything, our words are so powerful.
I just thought of something that's probably not appropriate to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Can you imagine if Danielle had a lisp?
Mm,
That would have been a tougher conversation.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and if you use the word enunciate, Like that is a word that if you can say it, you are enunciating.
Yes. Yes.
If you can't say lisp, then you probably have it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just came up with that. I mean, because you're hitting me in the forehead here.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
side forehead though. So I want to do a wrap with you about the five big questions that are called programming, but I wanted to give you some acknowledgement.
Okay.
First of all, how much you play big, and two,
Hmm.
that you are very much like the Joel scenario. You are happy to share how happy you are, but you have created the happiness in which you are willing to share with others how to create it. So
Hmm.
that is beautiful. And then we started the show. Well, I should say before we started the show, you talked about Sharon Lechter, and
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to her right now because she
Yes.
gave a really beautiful conversation and episode, and she shared a book that you got that I did
Yes.
not get yet, which I'm buying that as well. But can you share that book? Can you show it real quick? Is that
Oh
possible?
yeah, well, it's
I,
back behind me, but
I,
Sharon talked about because you asked about, hey, what book should people get?
mhm.
And Sharon's got what, I don't know, 20 something books. And so she mentioned Outwitting the Devil, which my son has read and I have read because I pay my son when they were younger, when they were K-3's age, I would pay my kids to read books. There was no allowance, there's no, hey, no this, but I paid them folding money to read books that I chose. And so one of the favorite books in our family was Outwitting the Devil. And I read it, my son read it. We had these great conversations about it, about being a drifter and fear. And it was just, I'm so thankful for Sharon dusting that off and bringing that out. And then I'm watching your podcast, interviewing Sharon. Again, Sharon Lechter, right? People don't understand how successful. I mean, she's more successful than LeBron James. She's more successful than Michael Jordan. She outperforms those people in all her business endeavors, all her right. Like it'd be the equivalent of winning an NFL championship, an NBA championship, and an NHL championship with all the areas that she's gone into and dominated.
Right.
Most people don't even know it. And it's like, wait, you were part of that franchise? Wait, you created that franchise? Wait, you did this? Like, and here she is saying, yes, and here's all my knowledge, Ken, and here's all the books. So she wrote a book called Exit Rich. And it's not about, oh yeah, get rich quick. It's about, hey, if you've got a business and you want to scale it, and you want to sell it, there it is. Here's
I'm saving you a trip back to your couch.
there you go. There you go. Here's what you need to know. And literally, I've already gotten I don't know, $5 million worth from that book. And I'm only in the first three chapters.
I
And
love
I'm just
how
like,
you
goodness gracious.
I've never seen one do what you do. You opened the book and you showed how you highlighted all of it with black Sharpie. So you have to actually remember it because you can't see it. That's
Now I'm old school. Dog ear the pages, underline. And so funny because I have certain books where I'm just like, dude, I just dip the whole thing in highlighter because it's just so good. It's like, woo. But yeah, that so and again, the more I know, the more I don't know. And if someone of Sharon's stature is going to put it in a book and share it with me, it's just like, oh my gosh, I would be irresponsible not to get it and to take action on
and
it.
see,
So
I have to react to it and buy it after the show.
yes, yes, yes. But I appreciate you calling yourself forward because most people would be like, yeah, I'm not going to share that. I'll share it off air. So I'm proud of you, Ken. Like, hey, calling yourself forward. Yep, I didn't do it. Yep, this is something I want to do. I'm going to go do it right now. So well done.
Yeah, and and it was a promise I made to myself, and somehow it slipped. So here we are. And by the way, that's how I did a course in Landmark. We're always out of integrity. How are you bringing yourself back into it? So
Yes, yes. And speaking of that, real quick, I got to share this. So for all the men out there, yep, for all the men, I'm going to give you some great stuff, man. Just bonus. This is like bonus track material, just really quick. All of men's challenges, problems, opportunities, right? Anything that men are dealing with is in three areas only. And there's a longer story of how we figured this out, but it's only three. Okay. Any issue you're having as a man is in three areas. It's in integrity, it's in identity, and it's in intimacy. It's in one of those three categories. That's it. So
IQ.
life as a man is so simple, right? It's like, okay, where am I struggling? Well, it's probably identity that we talked about. Okay, that's or integrity. Hey, I said I was going to do it. I didn't do it.
Right.
So no guilt, no shame, none of that stuff. I mean, Jesus canceled all of that 2,000 years ago. So it's just like, hey, I'm going to call myself forward. I'm going to go get the book. hey, Ken's back in integrity. Look at that. Hey, shame free, right? Like, boom, we're back in integrity. And then intimacy, both in the bedroom with our brides and our spouses, or even intimacy with ourselves, with our faith, with just other people, and just our emotional intelligence, right? Of awakening some of that and being like, hey, or even to our father-son issues of like, yeah, you know what? That really bothered me. Let's bring that forward. Let's heal from that. Let's settle that. Let's process that, right? Just those three areas make a man's life so much more simpler. But I'm ready for your top five, Ken. Here we go.
Well, before you do, you have me kind of having a download here.
Yes.
One of the things that my son has mistaken, and I've corrected him every single time, and I'm talking a half dozen, maybe a little more, but he said, "You're being sarcastic to me," and I said, "Kenny, there will never be a day,
Mm,
never." And so when he does it again, I go, "No, I'm having fun, but I'm definitely not being sarcastic. I will never be that way with you."
mm,
And he finally stopped, though. He doesn't do it anymore. But there was a period about 2 years ago. He was saying,
yeah.
"You're being sarcastic right now." I go, "No, it's impossible.
Mm,
Never be that way with you."
nice.
And you caused that
Nice.
because of what you just said. I mean, something just triggered that comment about calling yourself out and the intimacy of,
Yes.
because you would
Yes.
never want someone you love to feel that ever.
Yes, yes. And I just heard an amazing podcast. I give the guy credit. I don't know his name, but he's like the number one guy in the real estate coaching space.
Mm-hmm.
And he shared, Ken, to your point about his dad. There were six kids, right, and the whole thing. And he grew up in Ireland, right, this whole different mindset. But he said there was a point where his dad gave him a compliment, or his dad met it at a compliment, but he didn't take it that way.
Mm.
And it took him like 40 years just to process that. And
Really?
so, yeah, and so there's so much stuff going on that even his dad even meant it well, but it didn't land well,
Right.
right? So it's that intimacy of going through our emotions and saying, okay, what are these false beliefs? What stuff is still coming up? What are the triggers? Like let's process all that. And I appreciate you doing it now. So K3 isn't 20 years from now going, yeah, my dad was so sarcastic when I was like 9 years old. It's like, no, right? You've already processed that and grown that intimacy level. And so real time, man, that is so good, Ken, so good.
So you've given so much gold and nuggets and wisdom in this show. I wanted to give you something that I was at a mastermind about 2 months ago. I've said this on the show a couple of times, but it's landed about how I feel about how someone dresses.
Hmm.
So this gentleman says, when someone likes your shirt, they say, "Nice shirt." And then you wait for the shirt to talk back. And the shirt doesn't talk back. And you go, is that shirt's rude? But here's the way you compliment people, since I would like to compliment you.
Okay.
Evan, you got great taste in shirts. That is a cool shirt.
Well, thank you, sir. I receive it.
I like your shirt. That is a really cool shirt. And I realize that too often we are in the habit of complimenting the shirt. So I just wanted to say what a distinction that gentleman gave me. His name's Jim Lutz. Jim Lutz.
Mm,
So,
mm.
so you ready for the 5 questions? The rapid fire.
I like that, but I want to process what you just said because I mean, there's a lot of gold there. Just again, here's another one just to riff off that just 2 seconds, right? There's an epidemic in the Western society. I don't know about the rest of the world, but here, there's an epidemic of people saying this term, Ken. Well, to be honest, well, Ken, to be honest, honestly. So I literally stop people. I don't care who they are. And I'm like, okay, well, what aren't you being honest about with me? Oh, well, no, I don't know. It's like out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? So tell me where you're not being honest. And I've had so many great discussions with people that will actually go, you know what? It's over here. I'm having this issue. And they bring it forward, right? But they're in this habitual thing of like lying to themselves about so many different things. So that clarity of like, hey, it's not the shirt, compliment the person,
Right.
and there's so many levels to that. So I love that because clarity equals power, man. And everyone wants to be more powerful. Well, let's get more clear. Let's get more clear on the areas that we need to improve. And it starts with like, hey, let's look at the human, not the shirt. Man, I love that, dude. I could do a whole day seminar on that.
Don't you love it when they take it one more, like a choice, and they say, "Can I be honest with you?" And I'm like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you're like,
I
oh
don't
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. That's another, yeah. It's just like, yeah. Nope, so good, so good.
Well, I don't know if you get compliments about something that you can't do anything with, but I did get a lot of compliments about my photography. And the photography was not at me, it was the camera. They said, man, your camera takes great pictures. And I would turn to them, I go, your mouth makes great compliments. And I said, I am so mad that paintbrush landed in Da Vinci's hand. I mean, if I had that, can you imagine?
Yes, yes. Yeah, if you imagine, right, if I could get the magic brush right, like Walt, or no, like Mickey Mouse, right? The brush.
So the 5 questions I'm going to be asking you that you're aware of are it's the time we didn't have to talk and expand. And so
Yes.
it's also the program of Evan Money. So if it's your favorite and it's what you feed yourself, it's also getting the audience closer to being successful like you and happy like
Yes.
you. All right. So
And we're talking, you want like short, sweet news, sound bites, right?
I want as quick as I say the question, you could say it as quick back as an answer and it's complete.
Let's
However,
do it. Let's do
however,
it.
if
Okay.
you want to do a very short expansion, very short. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know Evan, and this
Yes,
could.
you know that verbal processor, baby, right here, right here.
And the other thing is, some people get hung up on that's a tough question because it's a choice of just give the 2 choices.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right.
A book to change your life.
Woo, all of them.
Nice.
All of them.
Which one do you gift the most?
Do I gift the most?
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
Didn't think that was coming back at you, did it?
No, 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 no. I think it's unique for each one.
Which one would you gift me?
Which one would I give to
I
you?
gift me. You've given me
I
two.
gift you.
You
Yeah,
give me
yeah.
two. Which other one would you give me?
I would gift you the one I'm reading now, right? That the
Okay.
more I grow, the more I grow. It's called Fearless by Jamie Winstep.
Cool.
Winstep, Fearless.
Fearless.
And the magic of it is it's all about identity, one of the three I's. And he opens up that I've never seen before about how, because you and I, again, we go to seminars, we go to masterminds, we do all this stuff. And at the end of the day, integrity, why aren't I doing the things I know I need to do? Right? Comes down to that, right? So he talks about how our identity shapes that, because I call them guardrails. There's certain things where just by default we end up doing if we have a correct mindset, right? Like it just happens. It's a byproduct, right? And he talks about the byproduct when we fully step into our identity.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a false identity, we end up doing things that don't serve us. But when we step into our true identity, that's when things flow. That's when things happen. That's when the magic happens. And we're like, well, how come I was able to make it over here, but over here it wasn't working? Well, because I wasn't in my true identity. And so I've embraced my true identity finally as a global encourager. That's what I do.
Well, I have a marketing, I guess, copy or a play that he could do that his books would go through the roof as far as sales.
Hmm.
Imagine this: fearless and a sign next to it. If you don't buy this, are you afraid? Think about it.
Oh, or no, better yet, are you afraid of missing out? We can throw FOMO in there and then,
Oh,
oh,
yes.
don't miss out. Let me get it. Let me get it. Yes, yes. No,
Oh,
that's like 500 grand in consulting right there. Brand consulting, man. Hire Ken on the spot. He's giving out nuggets here. Come on.
are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Movie that inspires you. You better
Woo.
not say all of them.
No, 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 no. I'll go back to the original. I mean, I have favorites, but I, from a deep emotional level, we could do a deep dive on this for all my Star Wars fans. But the first Star Wars, I'm 7 years old. You're in the theater and you're like, what is this? This is incredible.
That
And
was
then to now when my son was young, he watched it. This is incredible. This is amazing, right? It still resonates the story. And then if you do the depth, two things on the depth. One is it's the hero's journey
right.
that everybody needs to understand, which is, hey, you do the quest, you do the whole thing. At the end of the journey, you understand, oh, it was in me the whole time, right? It wasn't a play. I didn't have to go do the thing. I already had it, right? How do I release it versus go find it? And the second thing, what makes Star Wars so emotional, so magical for so many people, and I finally discovered this as a man, right? At the core, for masculinity, our core is freedom. You look at the masculine, the drive is for freedom. and you look at all the stuff we're into, like we watch sports, right? Why do we watch the NFL? We watch the NFL because we want to see the guy make the break, the big run, break through the line, right? Get through the obstacles, right? Whether it's boxing or MMA, we want to see him knock the guy down to get through the obstacle. What's the favorite play in baseball, Ken? Tell me.
The favorite play in baseball?
The biggest play in baseball. What's the one that everybody loves in baseball?
The grand slam.
Yeah, the home run, right? Because why?
Well, the grand slam tops it.
The ball goes out of the park. It's
Right.
free, right? We have this drive to see freedom, to get excited about
I'm
freedom.
glad I got that right, by the way.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad these are short answers.
But even in basketball, the breakaway dunk, right? He breaks away free and does the big jam, right? Or the hockey, right? He gets the breakaway, scores, he shoots, he scores, right? It's all about this drive for freedom. And so in Star Wars, the magic that it does is I can get in a spaceship and go anywhere.
That's right.
I'm free, right? That's why people get emotional around Star Wars. And people are like, what's your problem? You guys are crying like, oh, it's because it's freedom. It's the concept I can get in a spaceship, go anywhere I want. I'm free. Right. So
the trivia behind that about what movie was being made at the same time?
No.
E.T. Spielberg's movie.
Okay.
Was made at the same time. They both were doing something brand new, and they both traded 1%. And Spielberg I think he was the one who was hesitant. And then he said later, he says, I should have taken 10%.
But even in E.T., the biggest scene was what? Yeah. When the bikes fly. I'm free. I'm flying. I'm free. Right.
I set you up all the time, man. We're gonna
yes. There it is. There it is.
All right. And there's usually 3 more questions, but we don't have time. So bye. I'm just kidding. Here we go.
See, Ken. Give me one more. I'll make it short.
No. I'm going to give you 3 more because you deserve it. And you're a great guy.
Aww.
All right. Song that gets you going.
A song that gets me going. You know what? I went old school. I'm a huge fan of 80s rap, and often I forget. And so I was reminded by a friend of Eric B. and Rakim. Eric B. and Rakim.
Rock This Funky Joint?
You Know I've Got Soul.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've Got Soul. And my bride had never heard, she had no idea. And I'm like, you got to listen to this. So I was reminded of this amazing 80s rap that I forgot about. And thank you, Lord, for Spotify, because I can pull it up. I can get anything. It's not like iTunes where you got to pay. It's like, hey, Spotify, it's there. So Eric B. and Rakim, You Know I Got Soul, man. That'll get you dancing. That'll get you going. So that's a fun one.
Amen. Who's your hero?
Hero. You're one of them, for sure.
Thank you.
My mom, definite hero. She's a delayed hero. And for those guys that have parents that have graduated early, gone to heaven way beforehand, she never got to see the grandkids. She never got to see the polished product. She just had the son that was like, oh, this ADD spazzy visionary. What's going to happen? And so she was definitely, even to this day, like I'll see guys come up on stage and share stuff like it's new. Oh, look at this cool IP I've got. I'm like, dude, my mom taught me that when I was 10. Like, get out of here. Like, get out of here. So I just had these constant revelations. And all through my kids growing up, right, I realized how smart my mom was, during these generations. So you for sure, my mom for sure, and my bride as well. My bride is definitely a hero of
mine.
Made the cut. Yeah, because she was not, we had a great talk about this. She was not raised and she was not really growth minded.
Mm-hmm.
You hear this, oh, you either have it or you don't. She embraced the growth mindset.
That's something.
Yeah. She embraced hang on to me and said she had a choice. She could have been like, no, that's your thing. But we chose to grow together, which has made all the difference. So I really champion her for embracing the growth mindset and continuing, because raising kids is not for the faint of heart, or infant adults, that matter. And with a growth mindset, because it's just so easy to be like, no, I'm done. I did my part. You figure it out like this. But to have a growth mindset and be like, ooh, how can I grow through this stage? So yeah, you, my mom, and my bride. There you go.
You're too kind. Who would you want to meet? You've met some amazing people, by the way. I mean, that is, and by the way, you've not only met amazing people, you've met the right people. You've met people that really shape the world, and it really about the show. Like, this is what the show's about. The right person can change the world. So who have you not met you wish you want to meet?
Can they be passed on, or they have to be here today?
You get one of each. There you go.
One of each. I would love to sit down with Reagan and just laugh with him and just, man, tell me stories, man.
Oh,
Come on. Like, yeah. So Reagan for so many different reasons. And he showed about how smile and humor like can do it all, man. Like hit
oh.
like so refreshing, so good. Now, man, there's so many people. I would love. I'm staring at the theme, so I'll go back with the Star Wars theme. I would love to sit down with George Lucas for multiple things. Seeing how his mindset on second generational wealth,
Hmm.
because your dad's George Lucas, right? And it's
Right.
like, how do you not raise entitled kids? It's right. So that navigating creativity, storytelling, and a lot of people don't know this for our filmmakers out there. George Lucas is the most famous independent filmmaker of all time
I believe.
because Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, those were all independent films.
Right.
Because he had to prove it over and over and over and over and over and over again. So yeah, I would love to sit down with George and talk everything from child raising to creativity to storytelling. So
Tell you what I'm going to do for you.
what you got for me?
When he has some type of philanthropic drive and he's got dialing for dollars, I'm going to dial in and say, I'd like to speak to George.
Yes. Yes.
Because I'm going to get that. I'm going to get him for you because you deserve it.
Oh, thank you, sir. I would love it. I would love it.
My final question. What quote do you live by?
One of my favorites is it's on the front of my website. I keep trying to Evanize it, but the basic is, well, I gave it to you earlier. There's a bunch, but first, the big one, the biggest room in my house is room for improvement. So that's Les Brown. And then the next one is many men, it's William Jennings Bryan. Many men can build a fortune. Very few can build a family. And so, Ken, you're a living testament to that of, hey, man, so many guys can scale and build and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I respect it, but very few can build a family. And to me, that's what really matters. And the magic is how do we do it both, right? How do we
Even another level is that the company becomes a family too, that they feel
Yes.
as connected and that you support their families. Like that becomes your
Yes.
mission. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. You look at the Cathys, with Chick-fil-A, you look at what the Greens with Hobby Lobby, you look at Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel with the Amway Corporation. Those guys have built families, they've built corporate families, they've built cultures. I mean, that is remarkable.
So
So
when I asked that question, you started and there was like just a tiny little bit of hesitation, like it's on my website. You went like it was kind of like fuzzy. I thought you were going to say it's always no, never. No, it is. No, it's always.
yeah, because I always love to simplify it, Evanize it, and then I always want to give. This is the awakening, right? I think it's our natural thing, right? Like I want to have the cool quote, and it's like, well, everybody said it before you anyway, right? Like if you go back, the more you go back, you realize, oh no, that guy got like you hear Tony, and then Tony Robbins, well. All the new guys got it from Tony. Well, Tony got it from Jim. Jim got it from W. Clement Stone, and all those guys, and they got it. And you go back, and it's all in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. But
Well,
so
I
I
have a
always
quote.
like to give. I just want to make sure I give credit to those that said it.
And by the
Uh,
way, that particular humor thing of it's always is never and always
okay.
that's Steve Martin. I can't take credit for
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay.
But I have a quote, and it's my quote, and I would like to share it. And I have not shared this quote on any of my shows, so this is special
Woo!
for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Notepads. Look at this pen, old school. Here we go.
All right. This is the most powerful quote book in the world for leaders and
Yes.
speakers. And here is the quote: Never say or write a quote that offers no meaning or value. And you can quote me on this.
And you can quote me on this. Yes.
There are some that I have put together, but I will say this is your show, and for another day, I will share them with you. Uh,
No, that was
how
that
do
was a brilliant. That's a brilliant end cap. I love it. I love it.
how do people connect, celebrate, reach, support you?
Support again. Make all checks payable to Evan Money.
And commas after the zeros because we've
Yes.
had some issues with this.
Commas after the zeros. Yes. So yeah, we've got a lot of philanthropic. We've got a lot of cool stuff. But you can start. can really start your journey at evanmoney.com. You can go from there. And then also for those that kind of fell in love with the marriage side, you can go to marriageofgreatness.com. Yep. Marriageofgreatness.com. And then you'll see all the links and all that. And then for those that are on Prime, go check out Words of Art, and you'll be so glad you did. Great documentary, and then the book's available as well.
Well, I know what I'm doing on Father's Day. I'm going to say this is what we're doing for Father's Day, and the whole family is going to sit around. No,
Well, at least the first 10 minutes, and then because it's a deep dive, it's a thinking doc, it's not high entertainment. So,
well, thank you very much, Evan. You are awesome, and thank you for sharing not just great wisdom, but your time. It's very valuable, and I look forward to putting this in a book called 365 Heart-Centered Leaders that are moving the world in the right direction.
ooh, love it, Ken. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Take care. Have a great day and keep smiling.
Oh, love it. Yes, sir.